Hey, what is going on, guys? This is CodedSteele, and welcome to the first App Inventor tutorial of the new year. Actually, my first tutorial of the new year, 2015. So, where we left off last time was we were working on this Profile Headlines app, and that's what we're going to finish today. That is the thing we're going to finish today. And on the other note, as you can see, I've been saying a lot in tutorials. I'm going to try to stray away from that because it may not be annoying you guys, or it probably is annoying some of you guys, but it is definitely annoying me. So I need to stop saying that. So that's what I'm going to work on. Anyways, what we need to do is first review what we did in the last tutorial, which was kind of covered. We covered this stuff. I said it again. Alright, whatever. Anyways, we kind of reviewed this stuff right here. We went through most of this stuff. We explained how values are passed through to the results screen. So I'm going to quickly just kind of, like I said, if we're returning from the registration screen, we want to return the information, the username and the password that was generated, and then store it in the database with unique tags. And that's what this stuff does. So if you guys need to copy this stuff, pause the video and copy all the blocks, and I promise you, you will have a working profile headline app, or try to copy this as close as you possibly can. This was added because, remember, we have to check and see if something's a list, and if not, if we don't check if this is a list, it'll actually return us an error whenever it tries to give the result. So we need to make sure that we actually got a result before we actually do anything. This is when you return from the actual main page where the profile headline, the birth date, the job, skills, hobbies, all that stuff is stored. So that's all that junk. Username and password, simple enough to understand. This is the stuff where we check to make sure the username and password are correct, and if they're linked to each other, which is what this checks, making sure that the username and the password are linked to each other, it's going to allow us in, and then it's going to open up that screen, and it's going to pass in the profile headline for that username, the birth date for that username, the jobs to that username, skills, hobbies, all of that stuff, to this page, which is the main screen. We already covered the registration screen, so I'm not going to recover the registration screen. Check out the previous tutorial on this stuff, and you guys can get the code, or you can copy the blocks for the registration screen if you don't already have that. But this is the main screen that we've got to cover in this video, and then I got to show you guys how the app actually works and what it does. Alright, cool enough. So we've kind of got this edit state and this user variable here. The user variable is simply enough. We pass the username to this screen, and the reason we do that is because if we don't, first of all, we don't know what user we're editing, so we have to pass this value back. When we're done editing, we pass the username back to the main screen to use it to store tags in our database. So you guys kind of saw that in this, wrong page. You guys kind of saw that in this previous screen here, the screen 1 up here. We did a storage of these types of things. Well, this is the username right here. This is the username here. That's the first part that we're joining together and then storing. So what we had to do there to make that happen was we actually had to, that's why we had to pass the username back, was the result in this first slot is the username, so we actually know we can create the appropriate tag to store it in the database. So that is the reason why we have to have the username on the registration screen, is so we can pass it back to the, or not the registration screen, the main screen, so we can pass it back to screen 1, so screen 1 can use it to store the appropriate stuff in the database. That way, when we go to open the app in the future, it loads the correct information. So hopefully I explained that pretty well. Hopefully you guys understand. So the next thing we need to kind of worry about here is what goes on when the main screen is initialized. So as soon as the main screen gets initialized, we take the variables that we pulled out of the database in the screen 1, and we basically plug that stuff in its appropriate location. So we don't really do anything with the username. We just kind of load it into this variable to be held until we actually return to the main screen. So label 2 is whatever we have here. So it goes label 2, which is the profile headline. That's what will get put into here. label 4, label 6, label 8, and label 10. Those will all get plugged into their appropriate stuff. So as you guys can see here, we have none right now. That's the default. So when you first load in the user for the first time, this user goes to this page, they don't have any information entered. So they would actually have to click this edit button, and the edit button would allow them to edit whatever in these fields, and that is done or accomplished by this stuff. When we click the button, we check and see if we're in the edit state, which is false. We won't be in the edit state by default, but so we're not in the edit state, we're going to set ourselves to the edit state, and then we're going to go ahead and do stuff. So we're going to set the button text now to save. That means as soon as we get done, we would save whatever's in the database. We set the text boxes all to true to make them visible. And the reason we do that is because we're basically taking, there's invisible text boxes right next to this. Like I said, they're invisible. You guys can't see them, but they are here. There's a text box in here for the profile headline, birthday, job skills, and hobbies, all of them. So there's actually an invisible text box there, but now we're setting them to where they're visible so we can actually see them. We load the data that is in the labels. So these text boxes, when they appear, they'll all have none in them for the first time, but we're going to enter some stuff in them. So and then we set the labels to invisible, so the labels will disappear and all the information will be loaded into the text boxes. Now that information can be edited, and as soon as it's done being edited, we can hit the save, or we can hit the button 1, which is now a save button, and what will happen is it'll execute the second loop here, where it says set the global state edit now to false, which I guess we really don't probably need to do, because I think by default we set it to false whenever it goes to the screen anyway. But nevertheless, I do it anyways, and then I set the buttons text to edit, which I don't need to do either, but I don't think either of these two things are really necessary, but I have them in here, so I just left them there, whatever. This is what's necessary and important. Close screen with value result, make a list, blah, blah, blah. So what this thing here actually does, and what the important part of this is it closes the screen. Whenever you close a screen, you return to the screen that opened it, and you guys can read it right here. It closes the current screen and returns the result to the screen that opened this one. Well, the screen that opened this one was screen 1. So since screen 1 opened this screen, as soon as we close this screen, all of the information that we return using this result block is going to be returned to that screen as information. So we return whatever's in the profile headline, text box, birthday, job, skills, and hobbies text boxes back to the main screen. When they get returned back to the main screen, or not main screen, I'm so sorry guys, it's not the main screen. This is the main screen, or what I named the main screen. Screen 1, this loop will get called, just like I was explaining to you guys before. All the stuff gets stored, and then we start the process all over again. Whenever that user starts or tries to log back in, it'll check the stuff, make sure everything's good, and if that user exists, it'll load whatever information was saved to their tags. If their tags don't exist, that's how it loads the none here. But if that user already exists and he entered stuff in that page, it won't load none, it'll load what they originally had stored in the database. So now we kind of need to do a proof of concept here, and I need to show you guys actually how this app works. So ignore the hint. I don't know why I left that there. Usually I remove the hints. I understand probably for a professional application, you guys would actually leave the hints in the box. I mean, or you make it to where it would be there would be a hint for, I don't know. But for this, you really don't want hints for this because multiple users can register for this app. So, I mean, kind of no point. Right now there are no users. This is a fresh app. So right now there are no users registered. So I need to make it to where there are. So I have to register. I'm going to register as CS for CodedSteele, CS. And let's see, we'll just we'll go ahead and we'll say 69. I like the number 69. And then now I'm registered. So you guys saw that just go by. I'm registered now. So if I type CS and 69 and hit login, boom, I am logged in now to our screen here. So what I can do now is I can actually make changes to stuff. and that's what I'm going to do. So instead of none, my profile headline is going to be app maker. I don't know. I'll put my birth date as November 24th. Sure, what the heck? Why not? That's actually my birth date, so that's why I put it in there. Job. Let's just say EE for electrical guy, electrical engineer. Skills, I don't know, app making, and circuit building. I don't know, whatever floats my boat. And I spelt bilfing. Yeah, that's cool. Bilfing, sure. Hobbies, surfing. I don't actually surf the water, I surf the web, but that's what I'm going to put anyway, surfing. Alright, so what I kind of want to prove here is we're going to register as a new user. So I'm going to have to remember CS and 69, but we're going to register as a new user, and I'm just going to register this user as 1, and then 1, and the password is going to be 2, and then 2, and then register. And now that user is registered, so if I type 1 and 2, and I hit login, as you guys can see here, this is a user that has never entered in any information, so by default there's nothing on this screen. So that's why there's nothing there. But for me, CS, which already exists in the database, it better have my information in there because I just entered it, right? So let's log in. And as you guys can see, every single piece of information that I entered in to the profile headline when I first was in it is still here. So you guys can see hopefully where there would be an advantage to something like this. You could create numerous users. Probably I think I told somebody it's probably like upwards of 30 plus. It depends on what the tag limit is of the database, which I think is an incredibly high number. I think it's like 1,000 tags or something like that. So I don't know how many tags are used per user, but it's probably like somewhere around 10 or 15. So I mean, take 1,000 divided by 15. What is that? Freaking like almost 100 users, or a little less than 100 users, or something like that. So you guys can see here that you can store a heck of a lot of information in here about different users. So you can have quite a few people actually using this application on the same exact tablet, because do keep in mind this is still a local database and not a web database. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Pretty short one, honestly, and hopefully everything makes sense to you guys. So play around with this app, you know, try to create like 30 or 40 users, or use this code that I've given you to generate your own app. You can use this for, I don't know, a business type deal, and you can make it to where the app does different things. If you go past your profile headline, it'll tell you what the person's schedule is, if they update their schedule regularly or something like that. I don't know. But I'm sure this could be adapted into an actual useful app for a company, or for whatever you guys really want to use it for. So I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about for this tutorial. Next time's tutorial is actually going to be, finally, we're going to be getting into, and I say finally because I have been putting it off for quite a while, and I do apologize. We're going to get into web tutorials, web logins, web databases. So I know I've shown you guys already in a previous tutorial how to store stuff in a web database, but do remember that that web database is shared by everybody who uses AppInventor for the first time. So that can be a disadvantage, because I think it has like a database limit of like 50 tags or something like that, which is incredibly small. And then what will happen is eventually your tags will get overwritten as more people are developing apps. So it's not advantageous for somebody who's creating their own app to be using the default AppInventor tag database. So I'm going to show you guys how to create your own database and then use that database for your own app. And we're ultimately going to use it for a web-based login. I just so happen to have two Android compatible devices, so I'm going to create one in one device and then use the other device and log into that account from another device. So next time tutorial is going to be pretty freaking sweet. I think you guys are going to really enjoy seeing what's going to be done here in the future. And one other thing on this, if I hit edit, just so you guys know, I can edit what I entered in before and then save it and then relog back in, and it will have what I saved there. So you can re-edit this stuff multiple times. I just kind of wanted to show you guys that. So anyways, I think that's all I have for you guys for this tutorial. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial on web databases.